Husband constantly complains about how much he hates his coworker, but his obsession with stalking her on social media has me suspicious. I, 32F, am married to my husband, 33 meters, for 5 years now. Recently, about a year ago, my husband's office hired a new employee, let's call her Jess, 25F. My husband would often complain about how stupid she is. Here are some list of complaints. She always tries to act smart even though she is a kid. She always laughs at silly little thing which he finds annoying. He sometimes criticized her carefree nature. He once told me she was dressed like a clown. She just wore red lipstick. It feels like every time he comes from the office it is always him complaining about her or what she did. And usually it is just some normal shit. He told me Jess teases him by calling him an old man. He really hates that. It feels like this girl Jess is always in his mind. The other day we went to shopping. I really liked a red shoe and asked my husband how I looked. He said it will look gorgeous on me. Then out of nowhere he said, "Thank God you do not have stinky feet like Jess. She always wears shoes that looks weird on her." And then proceed to say how much he hates her and that she is his nemesis. This was clearly out of nowhere. The thing that confirmed my suspicion is that he follows Jess on Instagram. We were sitting on our couch. I was watching a movie and he was scrolling through Instagram. He was on Jess's page literally binge watching her content. I mean, if he hates her and hates everything she does, then why is he stalking her? I did bring it up and he said that I am being ridiculous, that I should know that he hates Jess. So thinking that there is something going on is making me look insecure. I do not know what to believe. My instincts tell me something else. But logically, if he hates someone that much he wouldn't bring them up in every conversation. Where do I go next? I came to know of it when I checked my husband's phone. Don't give me all that crap about privacy. I pressed him hard on it and he admitted he has a thing for her. He had taken day off from work so that they can go hiking or just hang out. He swears he didn't sleep with her or kissed her. I am not sure about that. Their chats look more like banter. I asked him, does he like her? He was hesitant but eventually admitted having a crush on her. I asked why? Why does he have a crush on her when she is not someone who he likes? His logic: she makes me feel alive. She makes me do crazy things and she has an energy that makes me feel special. I am hopeless. For months I have asked him to take a break and we will go to Italy like we always wanted. He made nothing but excuses. I wanted to tell him he is chasing a fantasy. He likes the version of her she presented herself as. But who am I to convince a love-sick man who would cheat on his wife of 5 years just because she is not energetic? I left my house. I am staying with a friend. I haven't decided on divorce yet. I am scared to start over at 32. I want to become a mother, but that means I would waste my good years searching for another man. I cannot believe he is falling for the obvious manic pixie dream girl thing. If he really wanted energy and do crazy things, why couldn't he just say that? I would love to go hiking. I would love to skip work and just be outside with him all day. Yet he chooses a girl he claims he hates but not really. He has been calling and texting me nonstop. He wants to work this out. He even offered to quit and change his job, but that's not going to solve anything, will it? Update 2. I do not know how to start this update. For those of you who don't know, yes, I am taking the divorce route. I do not think I can reconcile with him after what he confessed to. The day after I made my last post, my husband asked to talk to me. He said he is ready to be truthful because he doesn't want this to ruin our marriage. He is willing to try therapy and counseling. He said he does have a crush on her and oftentimes did fantasize about Jess. But they are just fantasies. Nothing more. He confessed that though there hasn't been any physical touch or contact, he did have a moment of weakness and they masturbated in front of each other. He swears he didn't touch her. They just jerked off in front of each other in his car. It was Jess's idea. She knew about his crush, but she has morals, so they found a weird loophole. I wish I was joking because this sounds unreal to me. He is still insisting that was the only sexual thing they did. Nothing more. He has been begging me to come back home. He goes from begging to blaming me, and when I said I want a divorce he was cursing me. I have served him. I have yet to hear from him or his lawyer. I know some people will say I am making a huge mistake and that I am throwing this out easily, but I do not think I will be able to trust him again. If there is no trust in a relationship, then what is there? I am surprised my parents were on my side. My mom told me I shouldn't have to beg someone to love me or respect me. Him lying to me was a huge disrespect. That a relationship cannot survive if there is no respect. Also, I think I offended a lot of people from my last post because they thought I was saying women over 30 are old. I do not think that. But I grew up in a culture where women over 30 are considered leftover. Though my parents and family members do not think that, there are people around me who do, and it has been ingrained. I have tried hard to unlearn it, but there are some remnants. I do not know what the future holds for me. I am too depressed and angry to think that. P.S. Yes, I am in therapy. I have been in and out of therapy since 25. Update 3. My husband cheated on me with his coworker. I am divorcing him. Yet the blame is on me. It is my fault that he cheated because he was bored of our marriage. Somehow it is my responsibility to keep my marriage. My parents are supportive. But majority of my relatives and friends are not. To them his cheating was not cheating because there was no sex, technically. Especially when my brother is berating me for leaving my marriage. He thinks I am giving up on my marriage way too easily and that I should grow up and fix it rather than breaking it. But I have my doubts? Why is it my burden to fix it? I didn't break it. I was a loyal wife to him. I never strayed? Isn't marriage supposed to be about mutual input? I see a lot of women and men cave into this narrative that they are breaking up the family by divorcing their cheating spouses. I am just frustrated about this push that I am getting from my own brother. Why should I forgive him? Am I not allowed to be bitter? Am I not allowed to be angry? I will not bore you guys with details. You can check my profile for it. My husband and I are getting a divorce. He has not stopped convincing me to stay. But the shamelessness of his activities is sending me to the moon. We are legally still married. From what I have heard, he is dating his work wife, aka the girl he pretended to hate. He was never someone who posts a lot on Instagram or Facebook, but he has been flooding his feed with her pictures. I know he is doing this to piss me off. And I am an idiot to stalk his new girlfriend. She has pictures of him all over his feed. In every caption he is work husband. Yes, I get that she is immature. I know I shouldn't care, but I do. I wish I was strong enough to not give a fuck. But I do. I struggle with being confident and doing the gray rock technique. But it is hard. Regardless of what he did, or how much he humiliated me, I still loved him. I still had dreams about us and about our future. I am afraid to start from zero and picking up the pieces of my broken trust while he is having wild sex with his work wife. I keep telling myself, it is not real. He is just falling for the manic pixie dream girl. But it hurts to know he will choose her rather than me. Well, I made that choice. It was my choice to divorce him. It was my choice to move out. I wanted to be a mother and have a husband that loves me. But I am starting from zero and running out of time. If I was desperate, I would have forgave him, but I cannot. My heart doesn't allow me to. Why is your work wife more important than your wife? Why did I have to compete for your attention when she was getting it for free? I do not want to be jealous, but I am. I wish I could reconcile, but knowing me and what I have learned, it is not meant for me. I hate living a contradictory life where I do not care about him, but I still care enough that it hurts he easily replaced me. Oop, I do not have children. I was planning to until my husband fucked up everything. I am separated from my husband because he had an emotional affair. I think the affair was physical too, but he still doesn't want to admit it. But I do not want to be in his drama anymore. The evidence of his emotional affair was enough. It's been 2 months since we are separated. He has already started dating his AP. Right now, I am dealing with depression and anxiety. I have started therapy as well. But deep down I feel so down. Like during the holidays. We used to spend together locked inside. I never thought I would spend it alone now. But I think I fucked up. I am currently with my parents. They always host these big Christmas dinners. I met a guy who is the son of my father's friend. He is divorced and has a kid. He and I hooked up. I guess I was just lonely. I am never someone who has random hookups. But I feel this immense guilt in me. Like I am the one who is cheating on my husband. I do not feel well. Not because the sex was bad, but because I am still a married woman. I still feel attached to my STBX even though he has already moved on with his manic pixie dream girl. Did any of you who started dating after separation felt guilty about being with other people? 2 days ag, my soon-to-be ex called me and I was puzzled. What does he want now? In few months our divorce will be finalized. He has moved on with his AP. He called to ask me how I am. It was small chit-chat. He then asked if we can hang out now. It was 9 p.m. at night. I obviously declined. The next day I got to know from a friend that his AP posted on social media about being in an open relationship. Her post basically appreciating my ex and how he was understanding of her not being monogamous. She identifies as poly. And they are in an open relationship. This whole thing made me feel weird. Like, who TF did I marry? What the fuck is he doing? He used to be monogamous like me. Now for her he is willing to be in an open relationship? I know I shouldn't concern myself with their life. But it is just weird. You cheated on me, put me through hell, you are dating your AP and now you guys are in non-monogamous relationship? I don't think I knew him well. I am seriously questioning my skills on judging people. Has he always been like this? Oop, not recently. But first few months he used to spam me with texts. Now our conversations are about the divorce. Hi everyone, it's been a long time. I was busy so I couldn't post much. The good news is I am officially divorced. As many of you suggested, I didn't get a house in the divorce like many of you suggested. Honestly, I didn't even want it. I am living with my parents now for a while. I know it sucks because I am in my 30s and have to start from zero. There were times I wanted to stop the divorce and reconcile. But the disrespect towards me and my marriage is something I cannot get past. I know many people PM me to reconsider it. But sorry to disappoint you. As for my ex, he is dating his nemesis. He still insists nothing more happened. They didn't have sex. The biggest plot twist for me was when I came to know that he and his mistress are in an open relationship. It was funny to me. But now I don't have to hear from them. I am not dating anyone now. Maybe take a break from dating. Story 2, girlfriend caught me shirtless on my friend Kaya's bed in a drowsy state and now she won't talk to me, leaving me feeling distraught and regretful. My girlfriend Celine, 20F, and I, 21M, have been dating for about 7 months now, but I had feelings for her for like 3 years beforehand. I have also been sharing a flat with 2 other girls and 1 other guy. One of the girls is Kaya, and we're pretty good friends. As it just so happens, Celine's ex cheated on her with Kaya. Kaya hadn't known they were together at the time. So when I first brought Celine over to my place earlier into our relationship, she told me about what had happened. I realized then that things would be messy and I asked Celine if this was a deal breaker for her, but she said she wasn't sure as she was aware that Kaya didn't realize she was facilitating cheating. The next day, Celine said she thought it over and that she held no resentment towards Kaya but was insecure about herself and felt uneasy that we lived in the same house. We both agreed to continue with the relationship and set our boundaries. One of them was that Kaya and I won't sleep over in each other's rooms anymore. We used to have movie nights on Fridays. Kaya's room was the only room with a TV in my flat, and I'd sometimes fall asleep in her room during movie nights. Everything was platonic and I told Celine about this. Let's move to the present time where our relationship is like a fairy tale. Being with Celine is pretty awesome. But my exams are coming up soon, and because I'm horribly underprepared, I needed to lock in. So I told Celine I would have to be a bit selfish and wouldn't be able to spend time with her or have much communication till they're done. For the past 3 weeks, my life has been, wake up, spend the entire day/night at the library, then come home to sleep for like 5 to 6 hours, then go study again. It's a horrible routine and I feel like a zombie, but I have too much content to catch up on and not enough time. I must also admit that I've not been in contact with Celine all that often. We only talked twice on FaceTime and texted very little. She tried initiating but I had my phone shut off while studying and only replied when I left the library. On our second call she said she felt neglected and it was really starting to get to her and she wanted to spend some time together. I apologized, told her I missed her too and that she could come over to spend the night. But she came about an hour later than she was supposed to and I fell asleep by then. She still stayed the night, but the next morning I felt that she was upset I fell asleep. Then I got really sick 3 days ago. I threw up at the library and asked Kaya to come pick me up. My other roommates are out of town, and Celine would have taken too long to get there. When I got into bed, I threw up all over my sheets. At this point, my memory of what happens is foggy. I was very drowsy and not thinking straight. Rather than cleaning up and setting new sheets, I texted Celine I was very sick and had vomited over my bed and asked if I could sleep over at hers. I got no reply, so I went downstairs and slept on the couch. When I woke up the next morning, I was asleep on Kaya's bed shirtless. I had no clue how I got here. But Celine came to check up on me, and walked in on me like this. This was when I woke up, and Celine was very upset. She yelled, "How could you?" and before I had chance to say anything, she left. Kaya told me that when she saw me asleep on the couch, she offered to let me sleep on her bed instead. I have no recollection of this. I probably took my shirt off because I felt hot at some point during the night. She also said she slept on the couch and we didn't share the bed. I've been trying to reach out to Celine but she blocked my number, WhatsApp, Insta. We have 2 mutual friends but they both haven't replied to any of my texts. My fever died down yesterday night, so I went to Celine's to clarify the situation but her roommate said she wasn't going to talk and made me leave. This whole situation just feels so horrible. I love the relationship that I have/had with Celine and the fact that it's probably over makes me feel so distraught. I also reflected over how I've been recently and I realized that a lot of blame goes on me. My exams aren't a reason to just completely shut myself out of my relationship and I need to work on being able to juggle life and studies at the same time. Other than her finding me asleep on Kaya's bed, she probably had a lot of animosity and upset amalgamating over the last 3 weeks of me not being in contact. It's painful knowing I made a very unnecessary decision and had I put in more effort, it wouldn't have cost me a great person out of my life. Update 1. I'll start by saying now that this post will be very long but will add little to nothing new. The most expected outcome is what happened. The reason I'm posting this is because I saw Celine for the final time a couple days ago, and I also want to clear the air on some matters. For the sake of tracking time, let's call day 1 the day Celine broke up with me. Day 4 was when my initial post was published. I sat my final exam at day 7, and didn't actually check up on the post at all till day 8. I was very, very shocked reading the comments. To be blatantly honest, I wasn't expecting like 1,000 people calling me a huge bellend. I knew I made a mistake, but in my head, I thought I was a good person. You know how you just kind of perceive yourself to always try and do things with a good intention, so you think you can't ever be a bad person? I'd if that makes sense. But reading the post opened up my perspective and made me realize that the relationship was not salvageable, and also gave me depth on the hurt I caused Celine. I shattered her trust completely and was just not a good boyfriend for an entire month leading to the breakup. So, I just didn't contact her. As I'll mention later on, I was not in a good headspace and I distanced myself because I was an even bigger ass than I let on previously. On day 12, she messaged me to ask for her iPad back. She'd let me borrow it for my notes. We last met on day 15 when she came to collect it, among other things. We were both silent the whole time she was there, which must have only been like 5 minutes or so. She returned some of my stuff I'd left in her apartment, and when she was about to leave, I told her I was sorry. She said okay. I said I never meant to hurt her. She, again, just said okay. I figured nothing I could say was the right thing at this point and we said goodbye. So like I said, the very expected outcome occurred. I can't lie and say that I'm instantaneously a better person now, I'm not. I want to be better but I can't become a better person in a couple of weeks and will need to really work on my character in general. As for Celine, I can only just pray and wish for the best for her. I'm going to answer some of the main questions that people had. I never went into the full depth of the story because there is a lot of context behind it all and I just never expected the post to reach so many people. Yes. I told her the day Celine and I discussed our boundaries. She seemed to be very understanding and we both kept distance since. It was from dehydration. On day 1, I went to the hospital at noon because my condition wasn't getting any better. I had a temperature of 104 and a blood test showed I was severely dehydrated, and I was put on a drip. None of this was mentioned because I never expected this to be a matter of criticism and thought very ill sufficed for it in my previous post. This is the question which needs a lot of context to understand, and I'll do my best to provide it now. I'm Indian, and my father is very similar to those strict Indian dads that you'll often see portrayed in movies. Take every Indian dad stereotype and you'll get why dad? He's in the military and is about as strict a man as you can imagine. He tried forcing me to join the army. I wanted to choose my own career path, which was in computer science, and we had a huge rift occur between us because of it. I moved from India to the UK for my studies, and one of the only reasons he agreed to pay for my tuition fees was because A, the university I'd gotten into is prestigious, so he was happy with that, and B, he had a way to monitor my grades and could use this as leverage to make me study harder. In year 1, I did not do so splendidly. I finished with a grade average of 63%, which although is like the median score, upset my dad a lot. He got extremely physical and smacked me in the face a few times, and I had some bruises after. He also threatened to not pay for my final year if I didn't get an average of 70% this year, which would mean that the entire 2 years I've spent here would go to waste. I'm an international student, so I can't get a loan either. Furthermore, I did really bad on my summatives earlier in the year. I got a 41 on an exam worth 13% of my entire grade, and a 52 and 59 on 2 others worth 6% each. Celine also knows everything about my dad. We had a whole conversation before I went absent in our relationship, where I told her I was very far behind on my studies and was afraid of the consequences this would cause. We agreed I should try and study as much as I can till my exams were over, and she said she'd be fine with being in contact less often. Very simply put, I was a bad boyfriend. This is going to sound awful, but I think a part of me just didn't want to have to deal with being in a relationship. I was overwhelmed and it felt like a burden having to talk to someone. I completely acknowledge how horrible that is of me to even think. When I had those thoughts, I just downplayed them and let myself believe it was just me being cranky. Anyway, there's just never an excuse to go weeks without talking to your GF, and I was an asshole for doing that. However, I never, under any circumstances, had any intentions of cheating on her. I didn't want to deal with anyone period, and so I didn't want to be around Kaya either. I mention this because a lot of people speculated that Kaya and I had something going on, which isn't the case. I just wanted to be alone till my exams were over. I asked her, and she said the following: I was on my way out to an overnight study session, which meant no one would be home, so I thought you might as well sleep on my bed then. I didn't think it would be such a big deal considering how bad of a condition you were in. I thought Celine would understand. I didn't get in the bed when I got home. I slept on the couch. I could not sleep in my roommate's bed because they were out of town and locked their rooms. Kaya throws parties every once in a while, so they lock their rooms in case. I think that's as much as I can say about this now. There's not a great deal more to add rather than an apology to those who read all of this and still aren't content with my answers. As for what happens next, I don't think I'll be sprinting into a new relationship anytime soon. I'm long overdue some self-reflection, and along with trying to enjoy my summer holidays, I hope I can figure myself out and try and do better from now on. In her situation, I would have stripped your bed so the sick wouldn't fester and throw it in the washer. I would have checked in that you didn't need to go to the hospital, put out something to drink and some painkillers. I would have contacted Celine and let her know how you were doing, and that you would probably really appreciate it if she dropped by to check in on you. No boundaries disrespected. I don't risk getting sick. You won't have a nasty surprise in the morning. But for some reason Kaya just had to get you into her bed, while drastically increasing the risking getting sick or a bed full of sick?